recently published The Intelligent Dealership. Did I get the title right? Is that correct?
Yeah, The Intelligent Dealership right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got it right back there. You should hold up in front of the camera. Give everybody a little tease.
Oh, yeah, here. So
what it
right
looks like so they'll know what to be looking for.
Here it is. This is it, right in front of the camera.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
279 pages of content. Here it all is.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's so great. Welcome back to Qore Conversations. This is where we explore the intersection of technology and data, and of course that includes AI, people in the modern retail automotive environment. I'm your host, Sean Rains. Today we're kicking this one off with a powerful topic, the intelligent dealership. Of course, our guest is none other than Todd Smith, entrepreneur, innovator, and CEO at QoreAI. If you didn't know, Todd has a book coming out soon. In fact, by the time this episode's out, the book will be out that will change the way that dealers think about data and think about automation and think about growth and think about AI. We're exploring that a little bit today and what it means for your dealership's future. So, Todd, are you ready to get started?
Absolutely. Super excited as always. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start. I want to hear a little bit of core mission on QoreAI, like from the beginning of like what problem were you setting out to solve for dealers, so the dealers kind of get that perspective. Like, what are you trying to help them solve and figure out?
Yeah, honestly, it's a great question. And I look at it, Sean, and I'll put this in words that I think you'll appreciate. We're like the data wranglers. So our job is to take all the disparate data out of every system, CRM, DMS, phone, take your pick, organize it into a tool that the dealership actually owns. So the dealership will be able to actually take advantage of an AI-centric future. I think if dealers continue to let all their data live inside all these systems that they don't own, they'll be renters. And I think that's a bad future for them.
For sure. So you've recently, like I said, by the time the episode's out, the book is ready. You already showed me the advanced copy, which it's amazing. But so recently published The Intelligent Dealership. Did I get the title right? Is that correct?
Yeah, The Intelligent Dealership right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got it right back there. You should hold up in front of the camera. Give everybody a little tease.
Oh, yeah, here. So
what it looks like so they'll know what to be looking for.
Here it is. This is it, right in front of the camera.
Oh, yes.
279 pages of content. Here it all is.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's so great. So what inspired the book? Like, I guess what inspired the book and who'd you write it for? I think I know who you wrote it for, but.
Yeah. So my inspiration was, I feel it happened the same. I guess I'm old enough that when the internet came out, that there was so much snake oil, like wagons of like everything became a .com and so much noise. And it was hard for businesses to understand what was good, bad, indifferent, added value, was meaningless. So I saw this coming again, because I've been playing with AI since 2015. So far before there was the ChatGPT. And I think for me, it was like, this is the great time to help lay a pathward for dealers to be able to leverage AI, because it really starts with their data. AI is a great accelerator, multiplier, amplifier on data, but your data house has to be in order. So part of the book is about getting clean, organized data that the dealer owns and build his intelligence layer on top of it. So the audience, this is for dealer owners, it's for general managers, it's for managers of stores, but it's also has sections around governance. So for the legal team inside the store, IT, if they're handling a piece, there's also technical infrastructure. I tried to land in a few different arenas for the automotive audience. So,
well, I already know because I obviously follow all your content and get to support your efforts. That it's gonna be awesome. I don't like to use game changer, so I'm not gonna Because
Let's just say I'm very excited. I'm just listen. It was a year work.
yeah.
So going through year editing, publishing, going through that whole experience, was eye opening to me. Super difficult to do. Not sure I would do it again, but I do believe it'll help dealers paint a very clear picture of how to approach AI for their store or group from a data first strategy.
Mm, yep.
Yeah.
I love your reference to snake oil back in the early days of the internet too. But we all know there's still so much snake oil. Be careful. It's very slippery. There's plenty of it out there.
Everyone put AI onto their cereal box, and I'm
Yeah.
sure NADA will be full of
Oh my goodness.
AI-driven cereal. And
Yep.
and when I look cereal, high caloric fructose with not a lot of nutritional value. So
Yeah.
same
Tastes great,
concept.
less filling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I see with a lot of the AI tools today.
I cannot wait for our episodes following NADA. We'll have so much to talk about. So it's gonna be a good one. I had a conversation with somebody this morning who said things where I'm like, oh my goodness, he'd be nice about it, but he'd be like, you are so wrong. You do not know what you're talking about. There's so much of that. Well, let's talk again about something that you say a lot. You say data without direction is distraction. That's like brilliant. How do you could frame this as core AI, even just yourself personally, but from a perspective of what your new company is doing, how is it helping the dealers actually go from the insight to actually taking action?
Yeah, look, I feel, and maybe dealers listening have this all the time. They drowning in Excel files and reports, and there's just so much, and there's not a lot of correlation. And this is a world today where, from an organized data perspective, you put all the data in and organize it. This is where AI does have a magic layer over clean data, where it can disseminate and understand and find nuance in data to help you make better decisions faster. And I think that's the world we're in, right? I don't need more decisions. I need better quality decisions. And, I want to accelerate that decision-making process so I can move faster than my competitors. And to me, if that's important to you, it starts with clean, organized data. So that's my 2 cents and strategy for that.
Love it. The book, I know, introduces something because I have seen the landing page or the promo page for it about intelligent workflows. And I wanted to ask you if you could share a little bit on like what are some of those? How does that maybe improve any department, sales, service, operate any place? Like,
Yeah,
speak to
think
us a little
about
bit about that.
this as, what is an agentic workflow, right? It is where in some cases it could be completely agentic. It's a multi-step workflow that's automated where the AI is analyzing a piece of data, taking that data, putting it into the next step, move down. So we could take something as simple as builds a segment of middle-aged men who make $150,000 a year, target audience for a Audi, A4. And that could automatically be stripped into, let's say, an active campaign. And that automation is then triggered. Like there's a multitude of steps that have to happen to execute that. But a true agentic workflow will be able to do that. And 2026 is going to be a big unlock year for these agentic workflows where, look, some you still need a human in the loop, where a human needs to do a touch or look at something to like approve it or let the AI go on to the next step. But there's some things, once the AI and you're comfortable with it, it'll be able to automate those things. So I see lots of automation happening around marketing, what I call the tried and true marketing, where it's very consistent and it's always like, hey, they bought a new car. We do not see their first service appointment scheduled. To me, that's a second sale. Their warranty's about to expire, and we don't see that last service appointment before they're turned into a customer pay customer. And let's get them in and let's get that full warranty fulfilled but let's set them up with some prepaid package to keep them and transition them. I call that the third sale into a customer pay experience. It could be something else. Maybe it's prioritizing inbound leads, knowing that, hey, focus on this subset of leads with a little bit more effort. Keep these top of mind. These keep into automation. And these, look, most likely they're just not in market yet. So you might want to put them on a trickle type application. So I think there's a host of different things. And we could even look into just inventory management. I think, honestly, Sean, this is the year. I'm going to put it out. I think it's built where it is dynamically pricing your inventory to market. Every 15 minutes. It's looking at how many similar cars, what their prices are compared to your price, and dynamically shifting to ensure your vehicle gets the number of VDP views necessary to trigger a sale. And I think this is going to take away a piece where used car managers use their gut to determine the pricing of cars. You know, they do maybe a glance over Car Gurus or any of these third-party sites first, see what's in market, sort of. It's very, I'm going to say, very, let's say, touchy-feely how it's done. Then they'll look at MRR. Then maybe they'll look at their inventory to see if they need that kind of car or what they've done in the past. I think all of that gets jammed together on a model and accelerated in real time. This is a year for this. I can already see this. Yeah.
I can see that too. I'm curious to know why, in terms of the frequency, why 15 minutes and not 30 or 60?
Yeah, so believe it or not, my brain goes to the limitations of the feeds coming from the third part, from the home nets, which is vAuto now, ICC, etc. Most of them are on a 15-minute. They could be real time, but probably unnecessary. To me, it's 15 minutes, and then it has to dynamically update the price, on the website. So, and I think with minimal training, it'll get really good at it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but I think you might be right about that.
I
want to ask you a little bit.
So, I mean, you can build a stock algo that puts a floor, ceiling, price metric, and monitor it and execute trades every time there's dips and valleys in the window. What's the difference?
Yeah.
To me, it'll maximize profitability. It'll increase turn, and it'll take the subjectiveness of our gut saying, oh, I know I put too much money in this one, so I'm going to keep it priced out of market. And now I have a holding cost no one's realizing. All that goes away.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see that. I want to ask you, and we've talked about this before, but I think it's always a good point because it's relative to data. It's a blind spot. So this is one of those things where I want you to share some of your perspectives on what would be considered a very common blind spot where it comes to how dealers are using, and oftentimes it's more misusing their data. And you, even recently, some of the content that you've posted, which is really critically important, is, and maybe you'll expand on this, but I love the thought that you're not just telling dealers that they need clean data, but it's not just clean up the data that you have. It's from the source. It's just going to keep coming in dirty, and you're not going to actually solve the root of problems. But I'd love to get your thoughts a little bit on that as a common blind spot around data.
Yeah,
I think there's some myths out there.
There are. There's two, and I'll say this, that people believe just deduping is hygiene. That's not what hygiene is. Deduping is only taking the two Seans and combining them. Problem with that, if you don't have full context about who Sean is, you could potentially be collapsing two different people into one record. Case in point, already seen this multiple times where, one person has the same name as someone else. They just combine the record. So one person disappears in the data. So not uncommon with a basic deduping. Hygiene takes triangulation. Hey, I need at least 3 points that I've seen Sean Rains. And now let's build a weighing average of which data is most recently active, seen, useful. So there's a whole different understanding for that. And I think that's rule one, that they're not the same thing. And everybody, I see CDPs all the time. We dedupe and we do hygiene. And I'm like, you don't. You're a deduper. You're not truly doing hygiene work. I mean, it's not uncommon. We see deceased people still in the records or no longer own car. There's a host of other things where true hygiene work goes in and is very critical of that. The other side of this is taking that clean data and trying to push it back into these legacy systems. That also creates a not best practice process. I don't know why. I think it's maybe just habit that dealers say, well, push all the data back into my DMS. Well, once you have the data clean, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to push it back in. You could overwrite other data in the DMS that still had value. You don't want to do that. So for us, we take all the data out, put it in a system, and just keep appending it and prioritize data based on activity, action, etc. So I think it's just a very different way to look at data. And we've taken our data modeling and our schema from like global best-in-class companies. Our CTO came from Visa. We're not, he's not car people. We're true, deep data work people. And I think that's the difference. So we're not like deduping a mailing list. We're really trying to understand who these people are through what we consider a true customer identity resolution. So,
all of which is super critical for these things to work the right way. We've said this about CRM for years. It's like, okay, garbage in, garbage out, I think is what most people say. Maybe some of them use more colorful language, but you get the point. It's all the same with all these things that you want AI to do for you. If you start to put in one set of clean data, but it's just going to get now backfilled with other stuff because people aren't really doing hygiene work. They're doing deduping at the most. You're still going to have problems. And I think that a lot of dealers need to know that. I was just on a conversation earlier today with a dealer who was saying some things from like this, you need to talk to Todd Smith. Like you got it wrong. Like who was giving, and I couldn't. I had to politely be like, yeah, I'm not the expert in that area, but like I really didn't know what to say because I didn't want to embarrass him because I'm trying to help him with some things. But
just tell him to read the book, Sean. It's
I will. Now I can tell him.
You don't even have to say to talk to me. Just go read this book I found on Amazon called, The Intelligent Dealership, how AI and data will transform your automotive retail. So, just start there and that's it. So that'll work much better and cleaner.
That's true. I love that. Now you have that book. I can use it as a resource. That's fantastic. This will sound a little self-promotional but it's true. Your personal history does include being a driver of things that are innovative in the industry. The reason why I just did that little setup is because you and I both know, although we won't name people because we're polite professionals, but there are a lot of people that talk about being innovative and how they're just changing the game, and the game never changes. Nothing they ever do changes any game, and they haven't innovated anything. But because you do have that experience, and I'm saying, we've talked about your other businesses, we've talked about your retail experience. Have your past ventures and experiences been the main source of influence around your whole vision for QoreAI and what you're talking to and about in the marketplace today?
I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. Obviously, my experience, and I'm going to say it's my failures and learning moments that have taught me invaluable lessons, right? I think you learn far more by what doesn't work than what actually does a lot of times. So I think that experience is there. I think, obviously, I'm a voracious reader, right? I at least read a book a week. And it was funny, I was just mentioning to someone all the way back, I can remember a book in 1993 called The One-to-One Marketing, Don Peppers and what was her name? Marsha. I can't remember it. But and that book, changed my life from going from broadcast marketing, right? Just blanketing everyone, to a much more tactical, like how to build a one-to-one communication with someone, right? And as back then, they're like, use a cell phone. It's like there was no texting really, right? So super crazy to me. But I realized that I think through the lens of learning what other people's do, also being a student of the game is incredibly valuable. Um, there's always a better way. Do you have the temperament to just keep exploring and keep iterating? And I think honestly, my past has set me up for a today because I do love iteration. I'm fine with stuff not working because I'm learning. And in the age of AI, that's how you make AI an amazing amplifier for yourself or your business, is by don't thinking that it's going to just work and be perfect and it's magical out of the box. You have to work with it like an intern, train it, teach it context, meaning, all those things. And I was like, AI, I was like, that's how you make AI work. And I feel like I'm built like that. So I feel like I'm perfectly aligned for what I'm doing today, not only on the data side, but also on this new technology capability. I think it's like those things come in. For the data stuff, I've loved data ever since I can remember. When I had my store in like 2006, I coded my database with what's called an RFM code. So it stands for recency, frequency, monetary value. I took everything out of rentals into Excel. I built the pivot tables where I coded all my customers from a 111, my worst customers, to a 555, which was built on an algorithm from the 1960s by a guy named Libby that was built for direct mail and direct marketing. So I've loved the data stuff far beyond Qore was. I wouldn't even know what that would have been back then. But I realized the value as a dealer that your data and knowing who your customers are is invaluable.
Yeah, I hear you share all that, and I've known you for years and years, and all that squares. I mean, it lands right in the target. I kind of feel like what you're doing now, although it's not for those with the weak stomach, it's so much sacrifice and hard work. But I kind of feel like, from the friendship perspective that I've known you for so long, I kind of feel like you were built, like all of those experience kind of built you to do what you're doing right now. Like it just feels like a next level, but only could be achieved based on everything you've done prior. It just feels that way. So enough about, puffing some hot smoke up your skirt.
Totally agree. Look, we're all here where we should be, right? And I'm right here at this fulcrum point of like, hey, like as you pointed out when we started, the intersection of AI and data and technology, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I love both these things. So it's like, for me, it's like having the whipped cream and the sprinkles on the ice cream, right? Like, oh, I get to do this every day because it's very difficult work, but it's also very rewarding work. Because when you get it right, you're like, wow. When you get it wrong, you're like, what did I learn? So, and you take those blows as they come. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I want to switch to something that I still comes up with a lot of people that I talk about that are not particularly advanced in their literacy around AI, and that is this fear that AI is going to replace people. It came up in the conversation I had with a dealer this morning, where he was talking about people internally, but he's also talking about he talks with some marketing people who are like, they're all like, oh, we're all going to get replaced. When you hear people say that, the whole like AI is going to replace everybody or replace all the jobs, how do you respond to that? Like, especially in the context of the auto retail industry.
Yeah. Okay. Today, no. These tools are very still early, and we will work and collaborate with them. So think of AI as you're hiring interns into the dealership. So your interns aren't going to replace your top sales manager, your top salesperson, are they? No. Today. But these systems have a capability that we do not. They have unlimited learning cycles. They can do it that they never forget anything. They can dynamically try something thousands of different ways and analyze all the outcomes of all of those scenarios almost simultaneously. We can't do that. So from a capability point, we are now entering a new world where we're going to collaborate with these toolings, these systems, and we'll work alongside them for a while. But I absolutely do see them replacing lots of things that honestly we don't want to do as humans. Do you think really someone wants to do accounts payable, accounts receivable, bookkeeping?
No.
And or just invoice injection into the DMS? No. Lead follow up? No. It's nobody wants to do that. You want the customer in front of you to sell them to make money. So I see lots of jobs absolutely being replaced. It'll take time though.
Yeah.
The car industry is really old school and fights everything. So they're not going to be the most opened arm to the AI robots. But let me preference that quickly and say it's only going to take one store. One store who pushes all the chips to the center and goes, look, we're going to train our AI agents. They're going to learn. We're going to go all in. Then they're going to outperform everybody else and at a magnitude that people are they'll become uncompetitive. And to me, that's what it is, because we're dealing with a technology that's exponential. It's not linear like us. It doesn't learn a little every day. It can learn tons of cycles overnight. So, you left it as a 3-year-old, you come back, it's 15 and shaving and driving a car. And you're like, whoa, where did you come from? Because that's something that we're just not accustomed to. And look, anyone listening to this, you're already experiencing it. 5.2 versus 4.5 in ChatGPT model, or Claude Opus versus 4, or Gemini's. The model lifts, that foundational level, are exponential and capable. And I mean, so that's just going to flow down into our use cases as well. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's very interesting to watch how it's all just unfolding. Couple questions that I want to get to before we wrap up today.
Sure.
One is there's always the person. And by the way, what you were just sharing, I immediately thought, yeah, someone is going to go first. Someone's going to push all their chips in. And I thought, remember when Dave Smith Motors in Kellogg, Idaho, ended up selling
on
more
the internet?
Dodge?
Yep.
And what did they do? They were like, well, the internet just destroyed all the boundaries. This is before the OEMs were like, hey, we're going to lock you into your PMA, DMA, or whatever acronym they use for it, but your market area. That wasn't well, I don't have a market area now because it's a whole internet thing, and boom.
Yeah, he sold.
Where are they?
One of the first cars I talked to him that he sold a GMC. It was Yukon or something in Key West. Guy flew up, drove it home, and I'm like, wow. I was amazed.
There were dealers who were first to, we're going to deliver it to your house. We're going to bring it on a flatbed. We're going to bring it around dinner time so all your neighbors see this delivery and they're like, what? This is amazing. And they see an experience that they want to have. So there are dealers already thinking about it. So, and you're certainly, I think, the person at the top of the category in terms of educating people and helping people make the right decisions, whether they're choosing, to use your company or whatever. There are always in our industry, you mentioned snake oil before, and this is never going to change in the car business, but there are always people who are just more opportunistic than they are actually educationally helpful, or they really know what they're talking about. They know enough, and so they mislead people. But the thing I want to ask you about is for the dealers who are always looking for the ROI story, how does that work for me? What is there a way that this intelligent dealership or more intelligent automation inside dealerships will end up turning the dollars and efficiency into positive for dealerships? Because I think a lot of them are well, how's it going to hit the bottom line?
Yeah. And look, I think it's a progressive model. I think that you're going to see dealers hate paying for results. They'd rather pay a flat fee. The problem is this technology is dynamic. It's not built really for that. It's much better that you're just paying for outcomes versus because the data you have, AI, it could be a 6,000 word context window cost X or a million context window costs Y. So huge different cost structure on what you're trying to get the AI to do. So that being said, I see a world more of outcome-based, result-based than today. Now, today we're lock stock mentally into SaaS products and how SaaS products were priced. Flat rate, give me a number of users, and that's it. But the problem is, in that case, you were buying software that was built once and repetitively used over. Now you're buying like a brain that's dynamically changing. It's not the same thing. So it's going to take more education for dealers to realize that a world will exist that is just results driven. So, and you, as a dealer, you want to control that brain. You don't want to rent it from downstream vendors because the value's there. And if you're spending the money to train that brain, you want the IP attached to it. You wouldn't want to outsource your brain. Why would you outsource all your data and intelligence to someone else? You just wouldn't as a business owner. So, and I think this is the part of that educational thing that has to happen because, there'll be lots of changes coming to our industry and they're going to come faster and faster and faster. We think we've seen a lot of change over the last 3 to 5 years or since COVID over the last 6. You're going to see an acceleration of change that will far outpace that.
I believe that.
This year.
Yep, I totally believe it. Every time I think that it's like, okay, people are kind of getting like, then I have conversations with some people and I'm like, yes, they don't. You don't know what's coming. It's gonna be crazy. Okay, last thing I want to ask you before we wrap this one up is, when dealers are listening to this content and they're listening to you, and it's the starting point. It's where do dealers start? If they want to become the intelligent dealership, if they're like, I get this, but I need some resources. I need some trustworthy resources. What's your recommendation? How do you like for people to connect with you, with the team, with QoreAI? What do you recommend?
So look, first I feel for us, just, come on LinkedIn. Easy. If you're not on LinkedIn, follow me on X. Take your pick on platform, grab some content, just learn. If you have questions, you can DM me anytime. You can text me anytime. You can email me anytime. I'm like fully open. I don't need to sell you anything. I'd rather just help you try to do what you're already trying to do. More than happy, the book, it'll be out now on Amazon where you can go check it out to buy the book. And I think there's a lot of other resources out there as well. Vanderbilt does a free prompting class where you could learn how to prompt better. And prompt engineering or context engineering is what it's called, is really important for how these systems work. So you do want a baseline. You can't outsource that baseline. You need to be the person who understands, hey, how to ask the AI a question that makes sense to get the output you were actually looking for, not some superfluous kind of stupid output that is like, hey, Sean, that's a great idea. Well, let's spin it up because ChatGPT in general is consumer focused as a business and it will always compliment you that your idea was great. And it could be a terrible idea. I have literally sent it terrible ideas and it's like, Todd, great idea. You want me to build an outline for it? And I'm like, no. And I think so. It's important that you understand the baseline of how these things work. Do not outsource that to your vendors. Do not outsource that to your team. This is you doing that little bit of work. Get a paid subscription on Claude, on Grok, on Gemini, on ChatGPT, and take that $100 a month investment into yourself. And obviously, there's free courses that you could take just to understand prompt engineering a little bit better. I think NCM has also spun up a AI 20 group. So I think that to me that's ground zero for what to do today. And I think if you do that, you know what it is? It's like you first ride the bike with the training wheels and you're like, it's really cool. And then you take off a training wheel and then you take off 2. And I think then you go really fast riding a bike, right? Way faster than you did. And because you build the confidence. And I think with any new change of technology, it's the same. Like when the iPhone came out, a lot of people dismissed it. I have my Palm Treo till all those crackberry guys switched over really quick. Once there was an app store and once the UX became even better. And I don't want dealers to get behind. I really want them to, if you are going to own your dealership over the next 5 years, stop listening to this, go start learning right now.
I love that. And I love that I almost on every episode, but also all over your content, you are constantly advocating dealers to learn, like just learn. And you're giving them practical advice where to start. You're also saying, connect with me and ask me a question, DM me on LinkedIn, and I'll point you in the right direction. I think that's really important because we have had a lot of things that came into the automotive have come into the automotive industry with the absence of any prior education or learning. And that puts the dealers at a disadvantage because they can be so taken advantage of. There's so much leverage for the person that knows so much more. And here you are, probably the foremost advocate of all of this in the whole industry, telling dealers that's square one. And so I always appreciate that. I'm sure that the dealer audience appreciates that as well. Another fantastic episode of another great Qore conversation. No surprise. So for those listening and or watching, the Intelligent Dealership, it's not just a book. It's actually kind of a playbook for transformation. That's what you need to be thinking about it. Todd already told you can go and grab a copy on Amazon. Is there any direct places they would get it to, Todd, or you want them to go through Amazon?
They could go, book.QoreAI.com. Still going to send them back to Amazon to actually purchase the book. Yeah, okay. I wasn't going to sit and ship them out of my house.
What? You don't have time for that?
I do not have time. I'm an efficiency freak, as you know. So
I do know that. Well, so that is easy enough. Amazon, or you can go to book.QoreAI.com. And also, if you're just ready to learn a little bit more about this company that Todd's been building, QoreAI, just go to QoreAI.com. You can learn a lot more there. And if that learning takes you to a place when you're ready to actually have a conversation, those are totally free. And as you can already tell, if you're a consumer of Todd's content, he will give you abundant knowledge and insights for you to make really good decisions. So thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, when people in technology are working together intelligently, that's when everything changes, right? So thanks for a great Qore conversation, Todd.
Thank you.